Hey, Diane.
Nice to
Great to see you.
Yeah, I first heard of Paul because he's a board of trustee at the Computer History Museum, and then, whoa, he's the CTO of Accenture. And I've been getting to know Paul, and I found out he started out as a programmer, software engineer, went on to become a computer science, entered the PhD program,
Right.
took a little time out at Accenture, and bang, 30 years later, you're still there. I think you and Urs may be the only two people in this facility that have never worked anywhere else but where you're currently working outside of academia. Tell me, how did that happen?
Yeah, well, I got into it first. I was at the University of Michigan, and one day I vividly remember the day when some Lisa computers showed up on campus, and I saw those and said, "This is what I'm going to do." I got hooked on software and computers at that point, and I was going to go into a PhD program, as I talked to you about. And I had a mentor that said, "Go get 1 year of business experience before you get your PhD." And I very strategically went to the placement office and went down the list and started in the A's, and I worked for Accenture. And I thought it'd be 1 year of coding COBOL and being miserable with that, and then going back to the PhD program. And I showed up on my first project, which was a driver licensing system for a state government in the US. And COBOL, IMS, DB, DC, my worst nightmares realized. And I had a smart group of folks I was working with that came up with an approach to say, let's not code this thing. Let's model it in Smalltalk as objects, and let's generate the schemas for the database and generate the COBOL code, and it'll be verifiable, and it'll be a better way of doing it. And we did that, and it just turned me on to this idea that we can use very innovative, and that was 1986. Use very innovative technologies like Smalltalk, even at that stage, to solve real-world problems and bring innovation to results close together, and got hooked on it, and I'm still here now.
Lucky Accenture. So 30 years. I mean, you've seen a lot of transitions in technology, so where would you put cloud in that? What was the tipping point? And also, when did you at Accenture decide Accenture should embrace the cloud and start building solutions?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's economics. If you look at economics, you can figure out what's going to happen, and you and Urs and others talked about this already this morning, but we had a fundamental belief going back almost 20 years ago that compute, storage, and network costs were going to go to zero, asymptotically approach zero, and that's what's happening. And we believe that as that happened, you'd have things like the cloud happening, even though we didn't call it cloud at that point, and would have things like IoT happening, because you'd either centralize for power or you distribute with small devices at the edge. And so we have been investing and driving in that direction for a long period of time. And then about 2008, we looked at it and said, there's a big commercial business around this that we can form. And you can see the slide up there, I think, that talks about the evolution of technology that you and I talked about, Diane. And what we saw was the ability to really form a big business around cloud. So we launched a strategic initiative around 2008. So let's get serious about this, and that's grown into being one of the most biggest and most successful parts of Accenture, which is our cloud business. So over 30,000 people, 20,000 projects completed in driving cloud. And then about 2 years ago, we saw this pivot, I think that many in the audience have probably seen, and that some of the speakers have talked about today, where we believed about 2 years ago, we saw that public cloud first was the way to go. We started shifting our focus. We had been doing a lot of public cloud work. We said that's the way to start, and let's just use that as a starting point. And we've been driving on that mission for about 2 years, and that gets us to where we are today. But the important thing, I think, where it comes to Google is the cloud is really a starting point in our view. And you can see all the waves of innovation that are happening. And what that means for business, people running businesses, is you need a platform where you can innovate faster. And all the innovations, the machine learning, artificial intelligence, and innovations to come are why you need the cloud as the foundation, because no business can innovate fast enough on their own without tapping into the power of a cloud like what we've put together.
Getting the data, getting the mobile access, bringing it all together.
Right.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big challenge for the enterprises to do it fast enough, given the pace of technology.
Right. And the other thing I was talking about today is sort of getting into this sort of exponential curve of having impact, and how we feel working with our partners, working with our customers, we're now able to do that. And we've been in the cloud for over 16 years, but it's, I mentioned as you were coming out that we're now announcing a partnership where we're going to bring solutions to our customers. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, we're very excited about the partnership that you and I have been working on. And for me, our business is about bringing innovation to customers to help them transform their businesses for the digital economy. And when we look across everything you've talked about and laid out, and my compliments on the way you've laid out this story, it's really fantastic with the Google Cloud and the positioning.
It's true.
Yeah, and
real.
It's real, and we see a tremendous opportunity to bring all that technology together collectively to really help transform business, and that's fundamentally what we're doing through the partnership we announced. So whether you look at Google Cloud, you look at apps, the analytics, look at ML, add Android, Chrome, Maps, all the pieces together, Tango. You look at the transformative power to business. That's what excites us. And so we formed the partnership, and we're launching an Accenture and Google Joint Innovation Center to bring things to life for customers. We're forming an Accenture and Google Joint Center of Excellence to build those solutions and develop solutions. And we're focusing on a set of solutions and products that will help clients construct better digital experiences, will help transform the digital culture within their organizations, and then bring better digital tools to help them manage their business. And it's very exciting.
Any specific examples? I mean, I think it's so cool that you're doing both Android and the cloud and the apps, in this sort of broad array, the machine learning.
Yeah, no, there's a number of great examples that I get really excited about. One of the ones I get particularly excited about is something we're calling Retail Trend Watcher. And Retail Trend Watcher it combines some unique IP and research we've done around something called the customer genome, which is a unique way of understanding the customer. And we're putting that on Google Cloud, and then we're combining a lot of other capabilities. So we're tying in the Vision API so that we can do things like go to Pinterest and find images and pictures and categorize get the product, item product classifications and things. Then we're adding the natural language API, so we can go to Facebook and find customer comments and sentiment and those sorts of things. And then you put that all together with the ML, machine learning, and the API to do the neural modeling to then do forecasting and trend prediction of what's going to happen going forward. And we think this is just a transformative tool set and a great solution for retail customers.
We're going to give you an honorary PhD for doing this.
I could use one of those, thanks.
No. So another interesting thing I learned about you is you've been really paying attention to the trends in the workplace. We saw with Airbus, here they were analyzing these satellite images with people by hand. It took a long time, it took a lot of people, and then they applied machine learning, and it really didn't take so many people or very long anymore. Some people are kind of saying the workplace is getting disrupted. I know you talked about that at the World Economic Forum, and you really take a very optimistic view. I actually share it. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll just give you the summary, and starting it by saying that I agree with some others who have said today that artificial intelligence is the big thing that's going to transform business over the next 20 years, bigger than anything else we've seen. And the way we've done business in the 20th century, which is the way most of us are still doing business, just isn't going to work anymore going forward. So we have this tremendous transformation of business powered by cloud and powered by the innovation that we're talking about. And that's certainly going to create a lot of disruption, but it's really going to create growth. And we just released a study yesterday that's out there available on our website where we did a modeling of what the economic impact of AI is and the business impact. And what we showed with this study is that we believe that there'll be a potential doubling of GDP, which in the US would mean a growth from 2.5% to 4.5%. Roughly, which could be $8 trillion of added economic output in the economy if the potential of AI is realized. Similar results in Japan and Germany and most other countries we looked at. And the underlying reason for that is that we believe AI drives increased productivity of up to 40% for individuals and people and humans, depending on the jobs you're doing, because it's people plus the technology coming together to allow people to do what they do best more effectively. So we believe it's a tremendous story. It creates economic growth, it creates growth for businesses, growth for economies, and better opportunities for people going forward.
And it's good that we're teaching every kindergartner how to program so that as they get up there, all people will be participating in this.
Well, we better. That's a big thing. If we don't do the right things from an education perspective, and it needs to start early, then we won't have the workforce prepared well. So that really is critical. We're involved in a lot of initiatives to make sure that's the case.
But we definitely don't have enough people to very opportunity-rich world we're living in. It's very exciting.
Yep,
okay, well,
times.
Thanks a lot, Paul. This is great.
Thanks, Diane.